Hey loves, give me a second. I need to adjust this. I know that I'm supposed to wanna do this every day, I think. Maybe I'm not. I don't know. Just excuse me, I'm just rambling in my head right now. Sometimes I get the urge to come on here and talk to y'all. And then sometimes I get the urge to not do that for a very long time. Here is the levels of what you need to know for over the next week and maybe the next month, okay? And when I say need to know, you don't absolutely need to know. And here's the things that'll tell you whether you need to know. If you have some level of understanding of the system in which we live, you understand yourself and you're working through a lot of the difficulties that and challenges that come with being in this existence, while also trying your best to do the least amount of harm to yourself and others while navigating life and trying to throw some fun inside of there. You're not really overly concerned about the general deal of what goes on in the news and whatnot. Also, like, no matter what comes, you figure out your deal and you got it. Just because you stay and listen don't mean that you don't have all those things on board. Maybe I just entertain you, and that's also cool too. Sit down and spell and let's talk. Now, I'm gonna do this and then I'm gonna proceed it with another video possibly. But astrologically, just generally speaking, the vibes, whatever, tells me that we're going to have a few shifts and waves that's coming through, and they're gonna come through back to back to back. And I expressed this over on my Facebook page a while back to give folks a heads up. But what that looks like is what you're experiencing in your reality right now. You're seeing a lot of weather events and political upheavals and things of that nature. But what's going to be tacked on top of that, which I think it's really refreshing a little bit to not be alone understanding what's coming next, because people are starting to be more aware and in tune with, okay, I see the signs and I'm just like going to do what I need to do for me. The financial upheaval is on its way. A lot of people are becoming more cognizant of that. Astrologically, specifically, I can tell you easily that a lot of this energy is coming via it's time to shake things up a bit again, and it's on like a, I don't know what the words to use for it is, but it's a steady pace. It's pacing, okay? And the larger the issues that stem from those pacing events are coming from us. It always does. When I say us, I mean collective minds, people, animals, things that are alive, experiencing existence, okay? Now, some people like to think, and I'm gonna let them think that, because at least they're thinking positively as much as they possibly can. Hopefully, it's not fake. That if we just think positively and raise our vibration, all of this will go away. Well, I'm a realist. I make no secrets about it. I'm an Aquarius. So even though I can feel things very deeply on the surface, I'm looking at what's real deal in front of me and looking at the facts. I'm also a scientific mind, and I prefer to go with science and stats and things of that nature before I go to any other vibes or feelings, because vibes and feelings can lie to us, especially if we're wounded or injured in some way emotionally, okay? And since I know that and have personally experienced that a time or two, I'd rather look at the facts and then let emotions guide my actions, okay? And with that said, thinking positively is not going to challenge capitalism. Just thinking positive is not going to challenge capitalism. We got to stop being a part of the capitalistic system. Stop buying things we don't need and contributing to things. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example of myself. I used to run what I do as strictly as a business. Now it's donation based. And I always had pro bono work, but it's more pro bono work than donation based at this particular point. Mostly because I just need my needs met. I don't need all the rest of that stuff. As a matter of fact, I don't want to contribute to capitalism. The least amount of I can contribute to capitalism, I will. Unless it's something that sustains me, something that gives me pleasure. And when I say gives me pleasure, I don't mean getting on some internet website and buying clothes. I can't tell you the last time I bought something brand new from a store that was clothing other than shoes. And that's the only thing you can catch me buying. Okay? In those sense, I've changed the way that I vibrate in that reality, even in just that framework, capitalism. I'm not asking you to do it. I'm just saying you can't think problems away. You just can't sometimes. Some things we can create our reality with our thoughts, yes. But if we're creating our reality with our thoughts and then contributing to the problem, that's counterproductive and it don't work. Enough of us need to be aware of this. So my nails are a mess right now. I don't like it. But I got some nail polish now. I can probably zhuzh them up a little bit, but I do not. I'll contribute to a small mom and pop nail shop somewhere, but I don't want to contribute to the overall consumerism of chemicals and nail polish and all that. I think along the whole rabbit hole of things that I no longer want to contribute to. If I'm going to vibrate it, I'm going to vibrate in it, right? And it's not necessarily about wokeness or not wokeness. And I'm really getting irritated with people co-signing and upending it and turning it into something negative when you say wokeness. The original thought process behind that is being aware that you are being mentally and physically enslaved, even if you're not being whipped. That is the short version of it. It was never about dividing anyone. It's just being aware of your circumstances, the real deal of your circumstances. Woke all day. Okay? Anybody think that's a negative term? You can continue to think that's a negative term. I don't really care at this particular point. Anyway, so what I mean by that is that capitalistic systems are breaking down, mostly not because enough people either thought or processed in that way I just explained and decided to stop contributing to the madness. Well, they can't afford to contribute to the madness. They're being gutted emotionally and physically by the reality that they're working for slave wages because they're seen and meant by those who were established within capitalism to be enslaved. I'm going to say something controversial here, and I really don't care if anybody don't like it. See, a lot of people shit on Kanye West. I'm not one of them. I don't have to agree with everything somebody says to understand that a person has a point on something. At one point in time, he said, slavery is a choice. And people got all up in arms about it, and I understood exactly what he meant. At this time, I can co-sign that statement because I see people choosing slavery every single day, and it used to be frustrating, and now I understand why all of this is happening. I always knew why it was happening, but I know why it persists and continues to happen because people are choosing enslavement. Every single time you purchase something from those larger websites and all these things, every single time you contributed anyway to capitalism or capitalistic ideas, in a way that you know is causing harm to yourself, your environment, and those around you, you are choosing that, in my opinion. Now, it's opinion, it's subjective. You can differ from mine, but I'm looking at the facts and seeing what I see and understanding what I understand. Not everybody's doing this, but here's the thing. Even getting on here, and this is another reason why I don't always fancy myself on here. I'd rather write. Like, nobody's on Facebook anymore. I honestly don't care. I've tried other avenues to do what I do here, and it don't feel right. I've experienced pushback in such a way that makes me triggered and feel unwelcome and unwanted. But also there's people who are welcoming and loving and kind. But I shouldn't have to experience abuse with welcoming. This place, in the way that it is, it's such that there is so much competition for bare necessities and for financial gain and for notoriety that kindness and understanding, truth, love, all those things, they get thrown out with the bath water and with the wash. And it's contributing to that. It's very hard for me to continue to do or to do consistently, even though I'm trying. Okay? And that's the reason why a lot of this is happening at this particular point. There's so many of us that outnumber those who cause a lot of these issues. Yet, what I am experiencing at this time, I don't know about you, but me, what I'm experiencing most of all is people complaining about it but doing nothing to change it and still contributing to the problem. And it's like, well, rent is so high and wages are so low. And every other video I'm watching, there is this glorification of looking a certain way and being a certain way. And I'm just like, why are you complaining about it? You still contributing to it, sis and bros. Okay? In some kind of way, without you even sometimes being aware of it. And that's part of the reason why this is difficult for me. Because even amongst the weirdos, I'll tell you, today, tomorrow, and forever, and I hope it changes, I am still a weirdo. I'm still an outcast. I'm still an outsider. So I don't want to be a part of it while also understanding I am responsible. How am I responsible? Because I was a contributor to capitalism in a lot of ways. And once I became aware of it, it took me time to change and restructure my ideas and my identity in such a way where if I have to, I will, for pleasurable purposes, reduced harm. So if I don't need something, I'm not buying it just because it's cute. Oh, that's cute, let me buy it. I go to thrift stores and I shop. Get whatever I want and whatever I need for whatever event I need it for. There's stuff in my closet I've been having for decades, and I'll keep it as long as it fits and it don't have no holes in it. These are different changes that I've created within my dynamic. It's like, even if I got $1 million tomorrow, I'm still gonna shop at the thrift store. I'm still gonna live how I'm living now. And that is my hope, to stay within that vibration. And that it's neither here nor there. The reason why I'm telling you this is so you can understand that the changes that are happening now is easy. And I'm different from most of the majority of people that are speaking on this right now. I know. But the reason why things are still going down and why things are so crucially on a struggle bus, let's put it that way, is because collectively, especially in the United States or in the Western world, human beings have contributed to their own misery and their own enslavement in so many ridiculous ways that I can't even, it would take me the rest of the day to name all the ways, but I demonstrated and explained one of the ways. But another way is separation from each other. Like, it don't take much for y'all to just go back and forth. And it's one of the reasons why I stepped back from a lot of the spiritual stuff, because first of all, this is my subjective opinion, you ain't got to hold it. First of all, a lot of the folks in the spiritual community are contributing to further division and enslavement by saying some people are unworthy and some people are worthy, and treating them as such. I've been a victim of it a time or two. And when I say victim, I don't even like that word. I've experienced it a time or two. To know that something ain't right with that. That is no different than dogmatic religions or Abrahamic religions, their figureheads and leaders saying that some people are saved and some people are not saved. And then they go further and further with different labels and levels and all these things. You either gained and obtained knowledge and wisdom or you didn't. Period. That's what I understand. And if you didn't gain and obtain knowledge and wisdom, you got access to somebody who can help you gain and obtain that if you should choose it. And you don't even have to have all these special magical gifts and knowledge in order to change your vibration. Just change what's in here. Heal what's in here. Heal what's around you. In other words, your family. Be a better being to yourself and others. Create no more friction. Be aware of the friction you've already created. Stop contributing, choosing to cease contributing to things that are obvious issues and problems, because it's easier for you to contribute to those things than to actually change your vibration. It doesn't require all that much. I had a client of mine ask me, I know you're truly chosen, and it really gave me the skeevies. And she intended that as a compliment and on a high vibrational energy of love, and I felt that part, but also I don't want that label. It's a division, and I don't want it. I used to think that would be a great thing to say about myself and to help others see and recognize that within themselves, and now I'm just like, I want absolutely no part of any of that. Okay? I'm here for all people, including those who are unaware, including those who don't agree with me. I understand that the connectedness between us all is unbreakable. And once we entangle with each other individually, that entanglement goes on to infinity. Infinity is infinite. So wasting time hating someone or hurting someone or not liking someone is not going to service you or them in any way. Today you up and tomorrow you'll be down. Because that quantum entanglement will keep on pulling up and down until you balance yourself out and realize you are both equal individuals with your own experiences and your own hang-ups. And the fight is not a worthy one if it don't really matter. Whew, I need to sage in here, but I'm going to keep speaking. Those of you who understand what I'm saying up until now, realize there's a force within our midst at this particular time that's going to push back on this. A lot of people like to think that the light, and when I say the light, it's a title, but it doesn't really service the whole meaning of the balance of all things. Because shadow energy is here for the hurt and the pain and protection. No different than when you're looking at a nature documentary and you see how animals on the savannah will tear each other apart to eat a meal or to protect their young. That's what shadow energy is. However, when you see an animal at a shelter or a rescue that don't trust anybody, other animals or humans that are trying to help them, that's also shadow energy. Because it's been hurt and abused and traumatized so many times it trusts nothing. That was in that space for a little while myself. It's not that I don't trust anything at this particular point. I've grown. I got my big girl panties on now. So it's not that I don't trust anything. No, I understand more things now. I know what you are capable of or incapable of. Generally speaking, my experience is that human beings are incapable of unconditional love. Most of them anyway. There's some that are capable of unconditional love, but it's so rare. If anybody's the chosen, those are the true. In my assessment. Again, that's subjective. You ain't got to agree with it. Okay? But keeping in mind that unconditional love does not equate to unconditional acceptance of piss poor behavior. so I can love you and whip your ass the same day. And if you're trying me and going across the line too many times. But I digress. I do that sometimes. Thank you for being with me. Within life, for as I understand up until this point, that shadow energy I was just talking about, it's always a little bit less. It always loses out a little bit to the light. The shadow energy is there to make us more robust, to keep us strong and capable and able. And this is the below I'm explaining, not necessarily above, but all of it's connected. The light wins out a little bit. It's just sometimes it just squeezes by, sometimes it's a lot, depends. But it has to, or everything would be destroyed. All would be darkness. It would engulf the light. And there would be nothing defined. But here's the thing. I don't know about y'all, but the sun is hot. And the sun brings light. I'm using that as a metaphor for what I'm about to explain to you. See the light? And again, you ain't got to agree with me. You ain't even got to believe what I have to say. It's sick of everybody's shit. So you absolutely got your shit together and you figured it out and you've stocked up, stored up, did your shadow work, continuously do your shadow work, try your best to do the least amount of harm. Your vibration is what protects you and seals you in. You locked in. Boom. But if you're full of shit and you're continuously causing harm to yourself, others, the environment around you, contributing to this degressive system, then I don't know what's going to happen with you. And frankly, personally, I don't care. The unconditional love part of me is if I see you on fire, even if I consider you an enemy or you consider me one, I'm still going to put you out. I don't care what nobody else is doing and what nobody else is saying. After all this shadow work, I don't want to be evil to other people. I don't want to be mean to other people. Just because I'm a badass, and I consider myself one because I am. I'm also a softie, so I would rather not participate in causing harm to somebody if I ain't absolutely have to. It's one of the reasons why I know the real ones, a lot of the real ones, when I say the real ones, this is not me attempting to separate. This is me attempting to explain. A lot of the ones who've been in the trenches for a long time don't want to be bothered by many people. Not all the time. Like they miss the idea, I know I do, of being social, and they can only do it in short bursts at this particular point. Because not everybody's getting it, not everybody's understanding it, and some of those who understand it don't care. It's one thing, like, I'll give y'all an example. Excuse me. My lip's been dry because of the allergies and the nose running and all that. So, excuse me. That's very unprofessional, but I ain't trying to be professional. I'm just talking to you. We're having a conversation. The kids start talking about NPCs and explaining what that is. That is further dividing people. I am aware that some people walk around as empty vessels. And when I say empty vessels, the energy within them, or that soul energy, the part of them that is a unique personality with its unique thoughts and being, it does not occur to some people who are spreading that message that the majority of human beings who lived a relatively peaceful life had the same indoctrination as those of us who lived in hell most of our lives. The difference between the two, a lot of the time, is that some never had that push to strive to be that individual because they had no other choice. That's just saying, let me see if I can get it right. I don't know if I can, but generally speaking, it's saying your peace has weakened you. I'm sure somebody out there understand what phrase, what quote I'm trying to understand right now. I'm trying to remember and pull from the memory bank. Your peace has weakened you. And that is not to be degrading upon those who are considered NPCs or people who are soulless or people who just go along to get along. No, that's to say they didn't have the same opportunity to be kicked in the soul over and over again that you may have had. Okay? Or some of them got kicked in the soul so damn bad that they just turned off. That is my understanding up until now. And even they are worthy of personhood and not being diminished. And truth be told, we celebrate every time someone gives birth, and that's beautiful. I love babies personally. But I'm one of the people that don't celebrate when somebody's had 5 or 6, and there are literally so many ways to explain why that is problematic for our society, as well as everything within it, including the fact that there are children in foster care and group homes right now suffering. And I'm just like, how does we as human beings make that congruent in our minds? I'm going to have my umpteenth child. Okay, I'm not judging you, but I understand the facts at this particular point, and I don't get it. I don't get replicating yourself so many times, becoming more restrained. I don't get it. I never did. Okay. That's just one of the many examples of contributing without even realizing or caring. It's like it's celebrated, and I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And before anybody has a comment about what I just previously said, I want you to be aware of something. You are welcome to comment. You are not welcome to insult me in any way. I may not respond to you because I've been through enough in this life where I will not be sitting for abuse. I won't tolerate it. I won't be arguing with anybody. Once I have the facts on the table, unless you present me with a different set of facts that can change my idea, cool. But your opinion, I won't argue with anybody else's opinion. Mine's is mine's. You can't change my opinion without anything other than facts. Okay? Okay. A lot of what's coming down the pike. This is a long way to say a lot of what's coming down the pike is not because of the government. Although they hold a lot of responsibility for it. A lot of what's coming down the pike is because the collective allowed it to get to this space. It was not inevitable. There was a lot of chances. That's an episode of American Dad that I watched. And I always think about it, so, like in the last 3 years, it comes up in my mind a lot when I see fuck shit. I know my folks always telling me, stop cursing. Look, sometimes. Anyway. And it was this episode where Stan, it's American Dad, where Stan somehow got cursed to get old, and because he was insulting an old person. But there was an old person at his job, and he was insulting the man. He was like, why are they trying to retire me? He's like, you just microwaved the sponge. You took it out, flipped it, put it back in the microwave. You had a lot of chances to see that that's a sponge. And so it tickles me. Because for me, that is an illustration of the collective over my lifetime and experiences I've had with large groups of people of any kind in any groups. And then over the last 3 years, I might as well have been screaming at the wall, saying the things I was saying, writing the things I was writing. Because I was speaking the truth. And you are correct if you thought just now, it's your truth, it's not our truth. It don't have to be. But I'll tell you one thing. This is my truth. To me, it's objective, not subjective. It can be subjective to you, and that's your right. Whatever this voice is that comes within me to speak to you or to write, it comes from a space that is not here. I will not contribute to division and separation by telling you where it comes from. Like, I can talk about religions and belief structures and all that all day long, but what I will not do is choose for you. Okay? It's a heavy burden. I can tell you that without a shadow of a doubt. To know that I understand these things, see these things, hear these things, can speak these things, while also having to decide some things. That's the adulting of the highest order, in my opinion. Honestly, sometimes, like, I don't know why. There are other candidates, clearly. And most days, if I'm being quite frank with you, I just want to be left alone. At this particular point, before I used to be like, oh wow, this is great. I am awesome. And now I'm just like, bruh, the amount of gray hairs I've grown in my head over the last 3 years, and I ain't have none up until then, other than the 2 streaks I've had since I was 19. I'm just like, my hair's growing so dang much. My little boot in the back is trying to come out. You know, see? Anyway, I digress. Why am I saying this to you right here, right now? There is some part of y'all that will resonate. Some of you will resonate with what I just said, and some of you will see it some other way. Who knows? But what I will say to you is, the times that I've been talking about is upon us. And when I've been talking about for 3 years, you've been getting taste. It's been a test run of everything you're about to experience in the fullest extent. And this is not fear-based, it's not to make you afraid. No, this is to make you prepared and understand. If you prepared, if you understood your assignment to yourself and your loved ones, your community, if you understand that this is not sustainable, the way human beings live right now is not sustainable, then you ain't got nothing to worry about, really. Be still and be at peace. You will be okay no matter what comes through. You see others panicking, you don't have to contribute. You see others fighting amongst each other, you don't have to contribute unless they come in within your boundaries and decide that they want to start fighting with you. But then run the fade, throw them hands. But you don't have to participate. You don't have to. And there's a lot of people who think we're at war for the soul of the collective consciousness. That war been won and lost, and battles been lost and won. That war has already been. At this particular point, we're salvaging what is left. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. We had a lot of time to see the ship was a sponge. Instead, there's a lot of things that went down and went on that at this particular point, there's no salvaging. There's no salvaging what was. That's only the great beginning of what will be. Now that's where I have the littlest bit, a whisper of hope still. Because there are people who recognize what's going on and having to, choosing not to participate in ways that'll make sure and guarantee we have nothing left. And I ain't the only one, like the song says, Imagine. Love that song since I was a little girl. It used to make me cry. Anyway, I'm saying this to you in a more preachy way. I realize that. And I'll say it to you in a more astrological way next video. Anyway, you're loved.